So excited to get started. Nice to meet all of you. Let's dive into the webinar. I just started recording for everyone who wasn't able to make it today. Just to recap, I'm Leandra. I'm one of the co-founders of VidCode, and I'm really excited to talk about our Hour of Code programs and running an Hour of Code event today. So as many of you know, as many of you are running events for, Computer Science Education Week is next week, which is crazy. We, like many computer science education companies, think about this all year. It's when a lot of new students come through and learn to code, either with us or with other organizations. So it's just a great way to introduce computer science and computer programming to a lot of people and get that kind of initial exposure to computer science and computer programming. It can be hard to organize the rest of the year. So what does that mean when we talk about coding versus Computer Science Education Week? What are we talking about? So coding specifically is a part of computer science, and it's the part that talks about telling a computer what to do in a language that it can understand. So computer science is a really big subject area that covers a lot of things. VidCode and our tutorials are really focused on the coding part of like larger computer science. One thing that we're always trying to think about in our tutorials and kind of get across to students, especially when you only have an hour with them or a day with them, is that programming is behind the things that they're using every single day. And talking about that during the workshops that you're doing with them, talking about that during the tutorials. And you'll see this as we kind of get into the projects. Our new Hour of Code tutorials this year are like make a community map and make a deal with it meme. So things that students may be consuming or using and maybe want to customize, let them kind of dig their teeth in and be able to do that right away. So I talked a bit before about the, oh, welcome. We got someone new, sorry. Usually there's two of us here, but right now it's just me, so I'll kind of just be letting people in as they come. So computational thinking is what we give students beyond just coding. Coding's awesome, especially with the intro tutorials on VidCode. All the coding concepts that they learn can really be like transferred to other programming languages. On VidCode, they're going to learn JavaScript, but all the concepts and all the vocabulary that they learn are really easy to transfer to other programming languages that they're interested in or have maybe experienced with in the past. But computational thinking is even more transferable than that. As they go through the tutorials, as they learn to code, they learn all of these computational thinking skills, decomposition, generalization, abstraction, pattern recognition, and algorithm design. And those can be transferred not just to other programming languages, but other parts of their lives and other challenges that they're going to come across as students. So why do we focus on this? Why do we focus on students being able to bring their own media in? Why do we focus on connecting things to things that students may be already interested in or already use? And I'll show you how to do that once we get into the actual coding tutorials. I'll show you how to upload media. I'll show you how to like add things from the internet. But it helps us increase student engagement, especially students who like maybe didn't already identify as programmers, which is who we're always thinking about. We want to reach students that aren't going to be interested in programming otherwise and show them how coding relates to their lives and their interests and their goals for the future, and that coding is for them. So with especially these hour of code workshops where, like I said, you only have them for an hour or a day. This is really important to focus on. Okay, so with that, let's dive into the actual activities. So there are all of the tutorials on code.org that you can go through. Today I'm going to talk about the new VidCode one. There are hundreds to choose from. They're all kind of different levels, different places for different students, different languages. For ours specifically, we're going to have a grade breakdown, and the language that we teach is JavaScript. So I'm going to send out all these links after the workshop as well. But to access our code activities, like I said, I'm going to be sending this link out. It's about.vidcode.com/hour-of-code. And this is going to be a list of all of the tutorials from previous years as well, not just the new ones. The new ones are Map Your Community, which is super, super cool. Students make so Map Your Community is really cool. Let me show you that project. So Map Your Community, students can upload a map of their own local community or their school. A teacher had this idea recently, and put like points of interest on it. So this one is a trash map. All of these exist as object data. And then I can go ahead and add more or scroll over these and see the label on them. So this is the community map. This is kind of the default way to do it. But it's sort of the base for any kind of map that students want to build. So this is trash. They could do food shelters. They could do points of interest at their school. So this is a really cool one. And then the other project is Deal With It, which repurposes the deal theme to focus on a like a role model. And this one's really cool because if you are interested in it, there's actually a video walkthrough of the entire tutorial where Dr. M, who's amazing, walks through, I think it's about like 7 minutes, and just goes through the tutorial. It's a great resource for you and any of your students. Here's the actual project. So the glasses come in, they don't quite cover her eyes, and the hashtag appears. So students going through this start learning about loops, they start learning about conditionals, if else statements, setting variables, changing them with properties, all within that first hour. Cool. So before our code starts, it's a really good idea to just go through the lesson plan, go through the tutorials on your own. Every single one of these projects has teacher notes available. So you have the option to either just jump into the tutorial, which I'll show in a moment, or go into the teacher notes. These are awesome. Let's see. I'll go into Code the News. Code the News has been our most popular hour code tutorial through the years. And it's going to have sample projects for each one if you want to show students what they'll be making before going into the actual tutorial. There's lesson plans for each one that go over the different standards alignment, that go over the background, the different concepts that students are going to be using, learning and using. There's also sharing prompts for each tutorial. So if you are in a big group and you want students to kind of have a prompt to like share their project with each other, this is really good. It gives them an option to think about their project a bit more deeply and also share what they did, which is always really exciting, especially one of their first time programming because it kind of puts them in that sort of like collaborative programmer environment and gets sort of rid of those ideas of the isolated coder that some of them might have. Cool. So yeah, this is definitely something to take advantage of as you're preparing. And it can also be a good idea to just go through the tutorial on your own before running an event with students. I'm going to go through a couple parts of it. I'm not going to make you sit through the whole thing. But this is what all the tutorials are going to kind of look like. They're going to have instructions on the left here, the code editor in the middle, the final project here on the right. It's blank right now because I haven't added anything. And then my media gallery here. So on the very bottom, there's the sample media for this tutorial. But you're going to see I'm in this educator account. This is kind of our demo account. And I can also upload my own. So if I had my own role model that I wanted to use, I could find pictures of someone online and then upload those pictures here. And then use those instead of the sample media provided. Which, especially if you are sort of guiding them and helping them plan out their project, maybe helping them storyboard beforehand, is a really great way to have them customize it. So there's no instructions here, so I'm just going to go ahead and click next. For the actual instructions for each activity, they're going to be in this purple color. So if I am a student and I'm just skimming this, any vocab is in bold, and anything I actually have to do is going to be in this purple color. So I'm going to go ahead and select a picture. I'll use the same one that's in the sample project. And it immediately appears in my canvas, but also appears as code. So there's always the option to do things here and drag assets in, but there's also always the option to just type code in as well. As I go through, these blocks are going to appear on the left in the reference. I'm going to be able to drag these in and see the code appear right away in my project and on here. So this gives me the chance to start writing on this. Let's see, I'll just write Dolores' name. All right, I'm a step ahead here. If I want to get fancy, I can make it a hashtag or add some emojis. If I ever want to add emojis, I just go to Edit, Emojis and Symbols, and then can add them into my project here. Cool. So as this walks me through, it's going to explain the code that gets added to the project. It's going to prompt me to type in new code and try it out, see what happens, and really walk me through the different parts of the project. At different parts, it's going to slow me down and ask me questions. There's going to be quizzes at certain parts. There's going to be challenges where it'll be like, all right, this is how you change the size. It'll prompt students to try and change the X and Y axis and sort of have to figure that out on their own. So that is how each of the tutorials is really set up. If you are going through them and you want to do all the ones that your students are doing, maybe don't let them choose between all of them. You could always say like, all right, like you can choose between codes and news, or deal with it, or map your community, and then have a chance to go through all three of those on your own to sort of know what's the common bugbear that might come up, and all that. So as you're preparing and getting your area right, whether it's a library or a gym or a community center, the best experience to do the Hour of Code tutorials is going to be with Wi-Fi enabled computers. Chromebooks work great, iPads work okay, but the tutorials are most tested on Chromebooks. So if you do have access to those, that can be really great. If you have access to Chromebooks, I know this is harder, with the webcam enabled, that can be really cool too, because it gives students a chance to use their webcam or their mobile phones to record their own videos, and then use their own media that they've not only found online, but created to do the tutorials. If you don't have a computer for every student, totally fine. The tutorials work really well with pair programming. So when you are doing pair programming with students, it works really well if there's a driver and a navigator, and use that kind of language with them, make them not just feel like they're sitting there. The navigator runs the ship, the car, the computer, and sort of tells the driver what to do, and then the driver actually writes the code to make the changes happen. And then they change every 3 or 4 steps. If you have younger students, it can be really good to just use a projector and kind of do a project with the whole class and just go through the tutorial with them and have them be involved with the creation of the project. If you are doing a community event, go ahead and engage students in bringing materials. I think it's totally fine. A lot of students have Chromebooks or iPads that they've been given through school. So being able to ask them to bring those in, use those for Hour of Code, can really help with like libraries or community centers that don't have access to all the devices that they need to run a big event. Cool. So some events tips that we've learned through the years, beyond that, is just getting the word out, using all the Hour of Code hashtags on Twitter. We're only like a week away, which is kind of crazy. So then the other thing that can be good to prepare for Hour of Code are just the unplugged activities, especially with younger students. But unplugged activities are a great way to sort of get students thinking about programming and code before they ever sit down in front of a computer. So the first unplugged activity isn't even an activity, it's just a conversation. And all of the tutorials are going to have prompts to discuss before the tutorial starts, but it doesn't have to be that specific. It can just be about what do they think about code, what do they think about programmers, what do they think coding can make, and just kind of get them in the mindset that coding can be creative and collaborative. If you also, and like I said, I'm going to send this link out at the end. If you scroll to the bottom of this page, there are 2 unplugged activities here, and you'll be able to find more on the code.org site as well. This is a really great activity to get started, the computer drawing project. In it, one person in the group is the programmer, and everyone else is the computer. So the programmer draws a picture and then has to face away from the group and give them step-by-step instructions to recreate the picture. And they can't say like draw a nose, they have to say like, all right, like measure halfway, draw up 1, then draw down to the left, and then draw right. And it just starts to, it can be fairly frustrating, and it gets them in that mindset of having to give the computer a really specific task. Cool. So if you are, you don't have to create an account to use Hour of Code. All of these tutorials, you're able to get into them without signing in or signing up. If you do want to sign up, I'll show you the process for that really quick. Benefits of creating an account are that students can save their work and come back to it later. You can also make a public showcase of student projects. It won't have any student names on it, but you'll be able to use it to advertise more events and all of that. And it also gives you the chance to see student progress and work in one place. So you'll actually be able to review all of your students' projects, which is pretty cool. So the process for that is just to go to vidcode.com, and let me actually open this in an incognito window. So if you go to vidcode.com, there's going to be this create account button in the corner. You can go ahead and click that, sign up as an educator. It's totally free, and once you've done that, you are going to be able to you're going to have a coding class already created here, and you're just going to be able to go into add students. It says class dashboard for me because it adds students. For you, it's just going to say add students. Click this. Give students the share URL or this class code. With the share URL, they can click on it, make an account, and they'll automatically sign up in your current student roster. With the class code, if students go to vidcode.com and create an account as a student, it'll give them the chance to enter that class code in. I see someone raise their hand. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat, and I'll be able to get to them. Yeah, so like I said, not necessary. Students can get to the tutorials without making an account. But if you do want to be able to see their projects in one place, it gives you the opportunity to do that. The other benefit to Hour of Code is that there's more than just the Hour of Code's activities available free on the site. So once you've signed up, you can access the student side of things by going into Start Coding. You're going to find the Hour of Code activities in the Cross-Curricular Coding Kit. They're in order from easiest to hardest. Deal with it. The new one is going to be 4 down. Hour of Code community map is down here. There are all the other previous year's tutorials if you want to explore them. There's Code a Snapchat filter, which was an old contest for us. But beyond that, there's also this Intro to JavaScript unit that's totally free and gives students a place to go after Hour of Code when they're ready to keep exploring. They can keep building their portfolios and they can go through these tutorials and start to learn how to make a video filter, make a meme. There's an augmented reality project. So that can all be like a really great way because Hour of Code is only 1 day, it's only 1 hour. So the question of what I do next, this like next unit can kind of answer that and kind of give them an off ramp from Hour of Code into their next sort of path in computer programming. So thank you so much. Like I said, if you have any questions, I know someone was raising their hand. You can go ahead and write in the chat. I just like put an exclamation point in the chat so it would pop up for everyone. Some things that I'm going to be sending out after the tutorial is just how to sign up. Like I said, totally free. You can add as many students as you want, and they'll have access to the course and all the Hour of Code stuff. There's also a community forum that everyone has access to, community.vidcode.com. And that's a great place to ask any questions relating to both Hour of Code, coding education in general, or about VidCode. And we're also doing virtual class visits for Hour of Code. We do this every year. It's always really fun. Either me, my co-founder Ali, or one of our developers will visit your class, talk about our coding journeys, talk about startups, talk about creative coding. So that can always be a really fun way to kind of celebrate Computer Science Education Week. Cool. If you have any questions, this is my email address, leandra@vidcode.com. And then, like I said, I'll be sending out a follow-up email after this with all the resources. But you can always email me here. Does anyone have any questions? Cool. Well, thank you all so much for your time. I hope your events are all amazing. I'm sure they will be. Yeah, good luck with Computer Science Education Week this year.